We are Jonathan and Jennifer, and this is Well Traveled Life. Welcome back to Where to Stay Around the World, our channel that's all focused about destinations. So Jen, we say all the time, it's one of our sayings, our mottos, I guess, that, we're looking for places that feel like home. Or we'll say, I want to live when we're traveling, particularly on land, extended stays. I want to live like a local. And those are slightly different things. I think they're related. I think you could probably do one without the other, but you're our big planner, and you do most of the booking and you do all the research. So can you talk to us about the thought process and the implementation process you go in selecting and finding places?
Sure. So there's a number of online places. You can use Vrbo, you can use Airbnb, you can do Furnished Finders. There's lots of different places. Furnished Finders was sort of originally for the medical community, for traveling nurses and that sort of thing, but it's great for slow travelers or digital nomads that are spending a month or more in a place. So that's a really good option. Vrbo is I think quite similar to Airbnb. I think Vrbo thinks their places are nicer. I've found great places on both. I will always try some place like that, one of those apps or one of those middlemen, before I will go to like a hotels.com or a booking.com or looking specifically for hotels. The other place I will use if I'm doing a short stay but longer than a night or two is I'll look at guest houses, inns, and bed and breakfasts. That can be a really nice break in the time if we're just doing an overnight or 2 nights in a village or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely our sweet spot. As we've said many times, I think, we're not looking to stay at resorts or big hotels or anything that really feels either really commercial or that there are a whole bunch of tourists at. I mean, that is kind of the opposite, of what we're looking for. There may be times that's all that's there, but that usually not. And so that's our sweet spot.
And then once I get into those places, the things I'm looking for, and this is because we're slow travelers and we're spending a fair amount of time, I'm looking for laundry. So I will always want a washing machine, and sometimes a tumble dryer is just a super bonus, especially when we're in places like Scotland and England where it's raining half the time. A washing machine is kind of a must for us. And the other thing that does is it tends to bump us into a different category of lodging. If we have a washing machine, they probably have some other amenities that we like as well. And then I'm going to tell you, I'm sure you can't tell it from this video, but we're big people. And so I always look for a king size bed. Now that's a little bit of a misnomer in places like England or Scotland and the UK because they consider a double bed a king size bed. And what they consider an American version of a king size bed, which for us is just a really big wide bed, is they call it a super king. And what that really means is they put 2 twin beds together. So sometimes I will actually look for that, is I will look for 2 twin beds because then I know I can put them together and I've got a big bed.
I think another thing that we're looking for is Wi-Fi.
Always. Always fast Wi-Fi.
We can get by. I don't need TV. We're not there to watch TV, although occasionally checking local news or what's going on is part of like living like a local. But we certainly, for our channel, for our content, for staying in touch with friends, for making arrangements, maybe our next stop and making sure everything's still in order, we definitely need Wi-Fi.
Our phones are operating through Wi-Fi. And so it's really important that we have good Wi-Fi so that we're not having to use our cell service.
We do have T-Mobile when we're abroad, and we actually, for many years, we were Verizon users in the U.S. That they had a really great plan for us. We loved everything about it except for the fact that it gave us almost nothing overseas. And when we talked to them about it, they were honest about it, and they just said,
They pointed us
we
to
don't want to
T-Mobile.
lose you.
Yeah.
You're good customers, but we can't match that plan. So we
Right.
do use T-Mobile. So without changing SIM cards or eSIM or
Right.
anything, T-Mobile works for us, but it is drawing down our data.
Right. And you have a limited amount of data each month. So we do rely on internet. So Wi-Fi is super important. The other things I am looking for, oftentimes we have folks traveling with us or coming to visit us wherever we are. So we do probably prefer at least having a sofa bed or an option for somebody to stay with us. Lots of times it's our exchange kids and we want them to be with us and as close to us as they can be. So if we have a pull-out bed or a bunk bed or a trundle bed or some place that they can stay, that's always good. And if it's somebody that we know is going to be coming, like we have Jody coming for a month with us this summer, then we will rent someplace that has 2 bedrooms. I think it's really important to note,
And Ryan,
and Ryan,
we're looking for you.
I think it's really important to note that in America, we are used to every bedroom having a bathroom, and that's just not going to be true around the world. So that's especially not going to be true in Europe if you're on any kind of a budget or if you're looking at some older historic places.
Sure.
The cottages and crofts and barn, even the barn remakes, they don't have multiple restrooms. So a lot of times we are sharing bathrooms with lots of people.
Yeah.
Not lots of people in the building, just lots of people that are staying with us.
And let's talk about public transportation as well, because
Yeah.
that ties into it. Even though usually we're going to be traveling with a car, we don't always want to drive at a particular location or it's not convenient. It's a plus if we're near a local train or a train that we can get on, or bus stops, or those are within walking distance.
Yeah. And really, the walking distance thing is important to us. We really want to be in the village. And this is where that feels like home and living like a local come together. If we can live smack bob in the middle of the village, we know we have bakeries, we have all of the shopping we might want to do, but not just shopping like retail shopping. That's fun. But the more important thing is that we have our local bakery and we have a local pub and we have places that we go where we stock up on the things. I really love a market town. If we have the opportunity to stay in a place that has a market weekly or at least once every 2 weeks, weekly's my fave, but then I know that I can go get fresh produce and that sort of thing.
Yeah, because I mean, for us, I think part of living like a local is I don't want to be eating at restaurants every night, even if they're local or places that locals will frequent, like a pub. I want some of that, but if I want to feel like I'm at home and living like a local, we're getting places that have kitchens or
Yeah,
some
for sure.
kind of ability to prepare food whenever possible. And so we're going to try to shop at the local grocery stores. And you're in England, Scotland, you probably will join. It makes sense to join the co-op and be able to use those stores. But you learn their grocery stores, and we do try to prepare the kind of food and meals that locals might enjoy.
And it really, kind of goes hand in hand when I said that we wanted a washing machine. Well, if you get a home with a washing machine, it's highly likely that's going to be a well-equipped kitchen. Those two things go together. They're not, because the washing machine in Europe is usually in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So if they've got a washing machine, they usually have a really great kitchen too. As much as I want a village that has access to other villages, other places. And it may even be a village that has access to a city. So I'm going to use Grassington as an example. That is probably my favorite village to stay in because everything I need is right there. Everything from a little grocery to hiking trails.
And we're talking about a town of about 1,500 people.
Right. So very small village. But I know that when I come outside my cottage door, I probably have, 200 steps to get to the bakery.
Yeah.
Maybe 250 steps to get to the pub.
Yeah. Now, they do not have a large grocery store there. So we will, when we're out and about doing our day trips or on the way in, we will have already stopped at a grocery store, and gotten enough food to last us, a good week or something like that.
Well, and depending also, that's one of the other things I look for. Most Airbnbs, most homes in England and Scotland are going to have mini fridges. They don't have big American style refrigerators.
Right.
So it is hard to shop for a week unless I need this much yogurt, this much milk, that kind of thing. But I would say I do the weekly shopping at the farmers markets, and that's what's kind of feeding us for the rest of that week. One other thing I wanted to say, we drive an electric car. If we can get an electric charger, not usually at our house in these historic places, that's kind of a newfangled thing. Although we do, Helen and John's place in the Lake District, we adore that house. We adore that cottage. And they've got an electric car charger.
They installed one, a metered one that we use.
Yeah, and that's how they do it. It's a metered charger, so they just give us a bill at the end.
But we have found, and if you're thinking about an electric car, this may comfort you. Even in a town like Grassington, which is a small village, a parking lot outside town that they encourage everyone to use. And in that parking lot, they have at least 4 or 5 electric parking spots. So, and that's a 5-minute walk from our house or less. So I would say that's more the norm. There will be a place nearby where you will park your car and charge, and you're parking and charging overnight.
And that's at the Yorkshire Dales National Park parking lot. And that is a slow charger, which is fine because we park the car and leave it charging overnight and we're great to go in the morning. But that's a place where we buy a annual pass to park there for free. And so we can park there for free. We do pay for charging when you're parked there, but you'd pay for charging wherever you are. Sure. So even if charging is at the home where we're staying, we're still paying for it. It's usually an extra charge, and it's usually metered. So many times when I'm looking for a place, I will target a village that we have been to before, that we've either driven through or seen and said, oh my gosh, this would be a place that we would like to stay. And then I'll go to look for places. And it's such a small village that a lot of the places are really on the outskirts. And somebody has a barn on a farm. And frankly, that for us does not work as well unless we're just doing a 2 or 3 day stop and we need a break. We just need to get away from everything and we need to get a bunch of videos done and do a barn somewhere.
Yeah, and a good example of that, which we have other videos about, is in the Lake District. We love a place called 1692.
Oh, 1692.
And it's just a rural farm, a beautiful farm that's been converted into a large B&B. And I can't say that it's the most convenient place. Nope. Actually, if it's raining, and it usually will be if you're in England, even walking into town would be a little bit of a challenge if it was. But we love it. And great parking, and but it's just that it's
a place for us to go to chill, and we do for 2 or 3 days. It is a super luxurious, perfect stay.
Yeah.
But when we're doing long stays, the month long, we love to be in town, and we love unique places. So I think things like we lived on a houseboat in the Netherlands for a month. That was spectacular. We were right on the city walls, right across from the pancake boat. And
that's the town of Zwolle, which we have videos about as well, which happens to be a great rail hub. And the Netherlands offers rail plans if you're there for 3 or 4 weeks or more that allow you to go everywhere at a reduced cost. And that worked great. We did not have a car there. We didn't need a car. A car actually would have been a disadvantage there. Yeah. But the rail station was within walking distance, public buses there. Yep. And so just going back to that idea, when we have our hub like that, that's our daily life. That's where we're living. But every day we're getting up and doing these day trips. Right. And for each one of those trips, we're asking ourselves, okay, is this little town that we're going to today, is that somewhere where we might want to come back and do an extended stay? So that is kind of wrapping this up a little bit. That is our philosophy, and we encourage you to at least try it. We will go to the big towns and we will see the big tourist things, the things you wouldn't want to go to that country without seeing, but we're not going to try to stay there. And we're looking for a local experience, you know, in a town that feels like home, that feels like, hey, I want to come back here and I wouldn't mind staying here. Not only wouldn't mind, but I want to come back here and stay. And our biggest challenge, honestly, about all this is we keep finding these amazing, wonderful places. And if we're going back to those countries or regions, we want to go back to them. And yet part of us knows that next wonderful town is just down the road. So, you know, we're going to be there for several months this summer, traveling around, and we're going to try to find a sweet balance between the places we love and the people we want to go back and see again because they've become dear to us, but also finding a few new places that are the next big thing. So,
And I think I have been sitting this morning doing location research, and I think we have found some really special places. I'm very excited about this summer, and I know we're getting back to Deborah and Angus in Melvick, and we're getting back to Helen and John in Kirkby and Furness, and we're getting back to Grassington, and so I know we're getting back to some places, but we're also going to be staying in some new places, which I'm very excited about.
yeah. So thank you for watching this video.
See you on the road or see you in a village.
Please share your questions and comments and feedback. It helps us to improve the channel. And if you've got some other favorite little villages or towns in England, Scotland, or anywhere else, please share below because we'd like to check them out. Thanks.
Yeah, tell us where we need to go next.
Bye.